I was just kind of printing money, like selling merch like crazy, and like everything was just going so well. A point after that where I felt like, man, the internet turned on me. When I see a negative comment about me, if I agree with it, then it really bothers me, and I got to do something about it,
The problem with the internet is it's overwhelming. It's too many voices, too many different people. That's why I would never recommend for a person like you to even read the comments.
Right. What I did was...
Do you have a dick tattooed on your right eyebrow? Is that what that is?
That's exactly.
How long do you have to keep that for?
I don't have to keep it for any amount of time, but...
It's not a bet or anything?
I mean, it is a bet how long I last before I get it lasered off.
Oh.
But I've been doing really well with it.
It's not even a good dick. It's like a weird dick, like a banana dick.
It was done by Post Malone.
Oh, well, it makes it even better.
But I was very shocked when I got it that my life didn't really change a whole lot.
Yeah, it's you.
Steve-O went on JRE this week. He's basically in full damage control at this point. Here we have yet another Rogan-adjacent character who's in the process of Brendan Schaubing themselves. And I think that exchange I just played for you about the dick tattoo on his forehead pretty much tells you everything you need to know about where Steve-O's career is at right now. This is a 50-year-old man who got Post Malone to tattoo a banana-shaped penis on his face, genuinely expecting it to change his life, and then he was shocked when his life carried on exactly as it was before. But for those of you who don't know, Steve-O recently won the Mr. Beast Celebrity Challenge in January, and by his own admission, after his career peaked in 2022, he was surprised at just how much nobody gave a flying fuck that he won a challenge with over 100 million views. He seriously thought it was going to give his career a third leg, but then started complaining to Rogan about how nothing's really changed. In fact, things have actually gotten worse for him since then. Just last month, he had Harland Williams on his Wild Ride podcast, and in his never-ending quest to be an edgy 50-year-old, he tried to give a hot take on the ICE killings, which totally backfired. I mean, even Harland was like, what the fuck, dude, what are you talking about? So making an appearance on JRE and Kill Tony as well, by the way, completely makes sense. There's a very specific type of guest that ends up on JRE these days. It's the place to go to when your reputation needs rehabilitation, or you need Rogan's public approval to sleep at night. Joe Rogan's podcast has quietly become the most expensive therapy couch in podcasting, and Steve-O's episode is a perfect example of that. So stick around because I'm going to take you through exactly what happened with all the cringiest moments, and honestly, this episode had way too many to choose from. But make sure you check out the link to my Patreon in the description below. I just dropped a 48-minute documentary on Shane Gillis called The Shane Gillis Curse, and just a few days ago I also dropped a video covering the Kill Tony Stalker. So if you want to see my uncensored long-form commentary, head over to Patreon and check out my catalogue of over 50 videos covering all the stuff I can't put on YouTube. As for Steve-O, for some reason, he thinks his career peaked in 2022, not 2002.
Man, dude, I was on high the year of 2022. Like, we had our Jackass movie in theaters, #1. It was big, like, my profile was all, like, the world just opened up from the pandemic. Everybody had stimulus money, and they were just revenge spending. Everyone wanted to go out to shows, and there were no interest rates. Money was free. It was just like a perfect storm for me to have the most successful year of my life. I was just kind of printing money, like selling merch like crazy, and like everything was just going so well. I don't know if maybe like you become more successful and like people get angry at you, A point after that where I felt like, man, the internet turned on me. People saying that all I do is promote merch, like there's a bunch of different stuff. 2024, 2025, like very mindfully addressing the criticism with which I agreed. And I felt like I made like really good progress repairing my reputation, even though maybe I didn't even need to.
I don't think you needed to.
But maybe not.
So this whole conversation literally started 40 seconds into the podcast. Bro came with one message and only had one thing on his mind. He was after that Joe Rogan bump, which unfortunately doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen are two of the most frequent guests in JRE history, and they've been relegated to a storage unit in the middle of nowhere to record a podcast that nobody listens to. Actually, I think they're moving from the storage unit into another place soon. Oh, and Brendan's getting sued by his former baddie wrangler, and he's also getting sued for breaking his lease back in LA when he moved to Austin. Oh, and he's also still being sued by a former business associate for selling shares he allegedly didn't own. And it's looking like Podcast One isn't going to renew his commercial agreement later this year. Yeah, so about that Rogan bump, huh? Anyway, Steve-O sits down with Rogan and opens up about what he calls the best year of his life, 2022. Jackass Forever was #1 at the box office. He was selling merch like crazy. The world had just come out of the pandemic with stimulus money, and nobody had anywhere to spend it. By his own account, he was making more than double his next best year ever. And then the internet turned on him. People started calling him out for over-promoting his merch, being a shill, overexposing himself. And here's the thing, Steve-O agrees with it. He took the criticism on board and thought, yeah, you know what, that's fair. But the thing about Steve-O is that his career peaked so long ago in the early 2000s that he spent the last 25 years coping with the fact that he's no longer relevant. I mean, this is the guy who genuinely thought getting a boob job would save his career. I'll get to that in a moment though, because like I said, Steve-O thought he'd hit the jackpot earlier this year when he won the Mr. Beast Celebrity Challenge. Except as it turns out, nobody cares. I mean, who knew?
And then coming into 2026, I was like, wow, I did this. I texted you. I was like, dude, I got on this Mr. Beast thing. I won the whole damn thing. I just thought, oh, man, this is going to be life-altering. And, like, it came in, like, I had one kid come up to me in an airport and say, dude, you're Steve-O from Mr. Beast. And I was
That's
like,
funny.
oh, wow.
Different generation.
But other than that, I thought it would be life-altering, and it really wasn't. Whatever you want to call it, backlash, this thing. To me, it feels like the whole world hates me, when in reality, it's probably not.
No, reality, everybody feels about you the exact same way they did before.
Right, it's crazy, man. It's crazy because I'll walk around and think man, people that look at me, maybe they hate me.
All right, hang on. First of all, credit to Steve-O for openly admitting that literally one kid in an airport cared about him winning the celebrity challenge. But the irony of this entire conversation is so fucking poetic. Think about it. We've got two of the worst comedians in the world sitting in a podcast studio, while one of them complains that nobody cares about who he is anymore, while the other one comforts him with absolutely zero knowledge or interaction with the real world. Steve-O's getting the old don't read the comments pep talk from Slow Joe when clearly Steve-O needs to be reading the fucking comments. But it's even worse than that. The problem isn't that he refuses to read the comments. I mean, clearly he's reading them. He just doesn't like the solution. Obviously, if the solution to being an unfunny, overexposed, washed-up celebrity turned comedian is to disappear and do something else with your life outside the public spotlight, well, that's not the solution you want. He wants to be loved and celebrated like he was 25 years ago. So really what he's asking Rogan for is to help him become relevant again. And that's the uncomfortable truth that Rogan will never say, because the same thing applies to Joe himself. Like I said, it's poetic. Steve-O's cultural moment was Jackass on MTV in 2002. That's where the fame came from, and that's where it will always live. Those shows were pulling in 4.5 million concurrent viewers on cable at a time when there was no streaming, no social media, and no other competition for attention whatsoever. I mean, other than just going outside. That world does not exist anymore. Jackass Forever did well at the box office, but that was purely a nostalgic play. People wanted to see those guys do it one more time, the same way people go to see a band from the 90s do a reunion tour, and as Steve-O's career has proved time and time again, you can't rely on nostalgia to sustain you. I mean, just ask Bert Kreischer.
How old are you now?
51.
Yeah, that's too old for a boob job.
Yeah.
Even if you're a girl.
Yeah.
But if you were here with a boob, with two giant boobs, I'd be like, I don't know what to say to this guy. This is so stupid.
You know who was into the idea, thought it was really funny, was Bert.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Also, he has his own boobs. So,
Right.
Bert goes back and forth, but he's light now. He quit drinking for like 6 months.
Oh, man. And
he had a little bit of a health scare. He's
good.
funny, man. He's a fun dude. It's just like he's another guy that is like a little overexposed. He does so much promotion and so much stuff, like you. You know, like talking about that thing where you get the negative feedback. You got a lot of negative feedback for over promoting shows, but don't listen. Don't watch it. Who cares?
Right.
There's shit to be angry about in the world.
Sure.
Bert Kreischer promoting a comedy special is not on that list.
Right. Let me run this by you.
Tall and funny scientist Joe Rogan is 100% correct. There are so many other things in this world to be angry about compared to Bert Kreischer's desperate attempts to stay relevant. You know, like the biggest political cover-up in history that's going on right now in front of our eyes in real time. But wait, it gets worse. So, the Riyadh Comedy Festival came up and they were talking about the backlash and how the comedians were restricted from making jokes about Islam, the royal family, and the Saudi government.
You know, I want to talk about. I watched Brian Callen's special, very recent, at the Mothership. That's the thing about fucking comedy is it's so subjective that like it's just if anybody can shit on a special if they want. And I saw these like the YouTube videos like, oh, Brian Callen's this is the worst bomb is gonna like end his career. And I was like, come on, like let me watch this. I enjoyed the hell out of Brian Callen's special. I enjoyed.
Because people want it to suck. Like there's people that think everything. Think Chappelle's last special sucked. There's people.
Oh my God! Can we talk about that?
I haven't seen it yet. Still.
Okay.
But I heard it was awesome.
The Riyadh,
from people that I trust.
The Riyadh Comedy Festival, apocalyptic. A nuclear bomb in the world.
Did you go to that?
I didn't. No, but like there was so much backlash for people who went to it, and then. Dude, Dave Chappelle puts out this special and so unapologetic about him being at the Riyadh Comedy. It was just like, it was so masterful.
He's a master. I get it. I get the criticism and I get people saying, well, I'm going to perform for my audience and my audience is over there. And if they say I think you can't make fun of the monarchy, you can't make fun of the leaders or the government, and you can't make fun of Islam. All right, well, you got to decide then if you know what those parameters are. You know, if maybe it doesn't fit with your act at all, or maybe you're like, I don't have any bits about the royal family,
right.
Or I could just go over and do my act for a bunch of people, uncensored.
Right. Dave Chappelle, like, checkmated.
Of course. He handles everything perfectly. And again, he's not on social media. He's not paying attention to people's opinions of him. You cannot, because there's so many people that have decided that he was a horrible transphobe for telling a story about his transgender friend. People didn't care because he made jokes about trans people. Like, of course, it's in the public eye. This idea that you can't joke about something is if there's a thing you can't joke about, that thing is up. And that's why the Lakota used to have a sacred clown. They called it a heyoka. And a heyoka was like a member of the community that was supposed to make fun of everything. If there's a thing that you can't joke around about, that thing has been compromised, right? Because you can kind of joke around about everything if it's actually funny.
Usually it takes Rogan at least 10 to 15 minutes to completely contradict himself, but this time it took less than 60 seconds. He literally went from defending comedians who went to Riyadh, even though they couldn't joke about certain topics, to defending comedians' rights to make jokes about anything they want as long as it's funny. And he said all of it with a straight face. I mean, seriously, give it a few minutes to breathe, Joe, before you make yourself look like a complete hypocrite. Give people a chance to forget, you know? By the way, speaking of Brian Callen, my takedown of his comedy special is one of the most popular videos on my Patreon, so go and check that out if you're interested via the link in the description. But like I mentioned in the intro, a few weeks before this JRE episode, Steve-O had Harland Williams on his Wild Ride podcast, and if you've ever seen Harland Williams, you know this is a man who is operating on a completely different frequency to the rest of us.
Dimitri. God, more preparation for this show.
Joe, it's Dimitri.
You're such a sick fuck. We're sending you back to Canada for what you've done to me. This is so stupid. You had to warm.
It's been in my
warm.
groin
He
for
had
2
this-
hours.
He had this in his pants
You
the
won't
entire
touch
time.
the cauliflower that's celery. You'll touch my groin more.
I'm not into plants, but I really like snake.
So Steve-O's trying to keep up with this energy, all edgy and shit, and so he decides to do a bit about ICE deportations.
Just because they're a certain race or a certain culture, I don't care if you're from Canada, China, Russia, Mexico, wherever, there's a process. I did it.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit here and pretend,
Right.
if I did it
Especially-
wrong and I got caught, I'd have the balls to go, okay, you got me. I'm going
Right.
home. But I wouldn't do that to begin with because I
Right.
respect the boundaries of every country.
Right, and why is it that so many people who don't have this respect that you have are murderers?
Say that again now?
There's so many of these people who are illegally in America.
Right.
It's like the majority of them are murderers.
No, that's a fallacy. That's a huge fallacy. Think about it. Think
They're
about
bad hombres.
7 billion people on the planet. What percentage of those human beings in all cultures across the globe would you say are murderers? Less than 1.1%. How many human beings wake up every day and go, I'm going to take the life of another human? It's such a small percentage. So to then say, let's say there's 30 million illegals, to say that most of them are murderers, that's improbable. It's
Yeah.
probably, the reality is 0.1% of them are murderers. Now, they're bad people, they're murderers, so they shouldn't be here, but most of them are not.
Well, okay, fair point, but a great many of them are trafficking fentanyl.
Yeah, look, when you're here illegally and you might not have the means to go through legal channels to work or find a way to feed your family or whatever, there might be a propensity for you to have to do illegal activity to feed yourself and keep your lifeline going. So that's more probable, but murder doesn't make sense. Yeah. It's just most people don't murder. Have you ever murdered?
No.
That's so rough to watch. The best part is how Harland was like, bro, what? Steve-O got fucking fact-checked by Harland Williams on his own podcast, and that is not a flex.
Then I have Harland Williams on my podcast. Okay.
He's one of the weirdest funny guys
The
of all time.
weirdest,
This snake is on this desk because he kept it in his pants the entire episode, telling us that he had a tapeworm, and then he pulled it out at the end of the episode. And I've left it on the desk ever since. And when Trump was in here, I left it on the desk, and he got so excited. He goes, "Thanks for keeping Dimitri on the desk while Trump was in there." Like, he's just such an oddball.
He's so magnificent. Let's play with Harland Williams.
Okay.
Okay. At some point in the episode, I think at one point I said, how about politics? Just thinking to myself, this absurd guy, if you ask him about politics, like how does his absurdity, navigate that? Oh, yeah, well, all this shit with ICE makes perfect sense because the majority of immigrants are murderers, right? This is the most patently fucking absurd comment that I've ever made on the podcast. And yet, after it comes out, it gets clipped on its own. But it genuinely looks like I wasn't f***ing kidding.
Right.
And then I open up my phone, and it's like basically rotten hell, use that, you think all immigrants are murderers. Joe, I could not be more the opposite of that.
Right. You're being sarcastic.
I could not have been more I could not have been less serious. Posted on my Instagram.
Okay.
For clarification, I said I was so shocked to believe that this absurd comment that I made was taken seriously. But I can't believe I don't have to do this. But for the record, less than 0.1% of the population is ever gonna commit murder. But if you want to know how I actually feel, if there's a group of people that's more likely to murder someone, it's ICE agents, and so then as soon as I post that, now the whole other half of the world
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that either.
Right. There you go. And
Only someone like Steve-O could manage to piss off two completely separate groups of people in a single Instagram post. Alienated everyone on the left with his first half, and then alienated everyone on the right with the second half, and then stood in the middle going, I'm in a really shitty place right now. Yeah, you don't say. So now Steve-O is sitting in the studio and he's trying to explain all of this to Rogan, and Rogan gives him the most Joe Rogan response you could ever imagine. You've just got to ignore all the mentally ill haters in the comments.
I think it's always better, like what you just did, where you said, like, maybe I did overreact, or maybe I shouldn't have done this, or maybe that's a stupid thing to say. Like, be much more real about how you feel about things.
oh, I fucking blew it, Joe.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, but it doesn't matter, man. I'm telling you, this is all in your head. Everybody still loves you. It's very rare that someone who really loves you hates you. Like, if they do, they're usually mentally ill and they want to. Like that.
Right.
There we go, guys. It wouldn't be a proper episode of JRE without Rogan referencing the mentally ill haters who leave comments. I've talked about this in previous videos, along with Alpha Brain and Ice Baths. This is Rogan's go-to prescription for everyone who walks through that door with a bruised ego. Just don't read the comments. They're all mentally ill losers who work at 7-Eleven and have nothing going on in their lives. But when the comments are positive, suddenly they're no longer mentally ill. Suddenly their fans just showing love. The mental illness apparently clears right up the moment the feedback changes. Funny how that works, huh? The uncomfortable truth for Steve-O is that his audience has moved on. They're all grown men now who have their shit together and they're living their lives, and the younger generations coming through don't know who the fuck Steve-O is and couldn't care less anyway. Who wants to listen to a 50-year-old washed-up cannonball complaining about why nobody likes him anymore? And the fact that he won a Mr. Beast challenge with over 100 million views, yet it hasn't changed his life, says it all. As for JRE, it's now just two guys who both peaked a long time ago, sitting across from each other, convincing themselves that they're still relevant. It's like a support group for middle-aged men with daddy issues. Anyway, remember to check out the link in the description to my Patreon for my longer-form uncensored videos. While you're here though, hit the like button to help me out, and make sure you subscribe to my channels here on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.